आप देख रहे हैं हिंदी वैरायटी शो बधाई हो। कुछ हफ्ते पहले हमने स्टूडियो में इंटरनेशनल फेस्टिवल ऑफ पोएट्री ऑफ रेजिस्टेंस पर अधिक जानकारी ली थी। स्टूडियो में बात करते हैं कोलकाता ड्रीम्स के लेखक गांधार चक्रवर्ती से, जो इस महोत्सव के दौरान अपनी कविताओं को पढ़ेंगे भी। वेलकम टू द स्टूडियो, गांधार।
Thank you, Gitika. It's great to see you.
First of all, congratulations to you. You've got some amazing reviews by people like Sunil Gangopadhyay. He's one of the best-selling Indian authors, and Pulitzer Prize winner Yusuf Kamuniaka.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
It's I don't know what to feel about that. I guess I could say it's a beautiful surprise that some people that I respect so much would take the time to give my book praise, and it was quite something.
You know what, Gandhar, when I think of Kolkata, and I'm sure my viewers would agree with that, those who have read about the city or they've visited that when you think about it, it's a historical, beautiful city, and some stark images come to your mind. Something like Howrah Bridge, right? And you've brought that essence of that city in a book, brought pictures and now through your poetry. Tell me, what was the process like for you?
It's funny because I'm not sure I had a process or even a purpose to this when it started. My own thing was I wanted to go and discover my own heritage, where my parents came from, where my ancestors came from.
Okay.
And I said, I'm taking a year off school and I'm going to write this book. I'm going to go to India and I'm going to discover this country where my genes come from anyway. And I started keeping a travel journal. And towards the end of the trip, I realized that's poetry. And I sort of ended up writing the book that way.
So this was basically a travel journal.
Yeah.
How long were you there for?
6 months.
And this was when?
2001.
Was that your first trip to India?
My first trip as an adult. I hadn't been since I was 7.
So some images that you remember when you were there when you were 7, and then when you went back in 2001, few things that you would like to share with our viewers were absolutely the same. They hadn't changed. Anything that you remember?
I think the memories from when I was a child prepared me. So, being born in Canada, I'm Canadian. But these stories that I got from my parents and from my relatives and from their friends who came from Kolkata, they give you a certain impression. So I can't speak for the city because all I really remember are my family's homes where they lived. And they still live in the same place after all these years.
Yeah.
And they were exactly as I remembered them from when I was 7.
Well, you talk about your parents, Ashok Chakravarty, he's your dad, and everybody in Toronto who's into literary society coming from India or whether here, they know about him. And he was actually in studio talking about the festival that you would be part of.
Yes.
Next week or this week, actually? It is going on right
now. And ending on Thursday, April 30th.
So you want to talk about that a little bit?
I was very lucky to be invited to the International Festival of Poetry of Resistance. They're hosting that in honor of the Cuban Five, a group of 5 anti-terrorists who were living in the States and got wrongfully imprisoned. And actually, 10 Nobel laureates, Noam Chomsky, all these incredible thinkers and poets and writers and political figures have come together to raise awareness about the fact that these people are in jail for life, wrongfully. They did nothing against the government of the United States. And we're there to read our own poetry and to help hopefully free them.
You would be reading your poetry.
Yes.
Right? Gandhar, when you sit down with your parents, you said that they are from Kolkata, and you visited in 2001. It's been almost 8 years now, right? But a few things that you would like to share with our viewers and think that that explains India and Kolkata together.
Oh, you hear all kinds of stories about India. You hear horror stories, and you hear stories of real beauty, and you hear stories, New Age stories about how people find themselves in India. I'm not sure I found any of that. What I found in Kolkata was this place where the material world and the spiritual world meet, really at every corner, on every street, in every taxi ride. You have this merge, and the end result is poetry. And I guess that was reflected in my journals, which ultimately became this book.
Well, outside the studio, you were sharing the interesting story of how this book got published, actually.
Right. So when I came home, I polished up the book of journals for myself. I've always been interested in poetry since I was very young. And basically, I left the book on my hard drive, but we can say it was gathering dust for 8 years because it's more poetic. And I didn't do anything with it. But last year, I got a grant from the government to write another book of poetry, so I started that, and I haven't finished it yet, but I wanted to at least get a publisher's opinion about my concept. So I sent it to Eighth House Publishing, who are just really publishing some really incredible works, the stuff that I want to read unequivocally. And so I approached them and said, this is what I'm writing about. This is my concept for the current work. And if you want to read some of the old poems, the Kolkata series, here they are. Mm-hmm. And he wrote me back and said, well, what would you say about publishing those Kolkata Dreams poems? And I said, what would I say? I wonder.
So where can people get this book?
The book will be available sort of nationwide, continent-wide, and in Europe.
Online?
No,
right now?
In 3 weeks it'll be in stores, so
okay.
Anybody can get it through their local bookstore. Mm-hmm. Right now there's a special limited first edition that's available just on the publisher's website, but it goes into mass distribution.
You remember that website?
Yes.
Gandhar? Can you say that?
I think they have it, but it's 8th House Publishing, the number 8.
Okay.
.com.
And you also have your website, right, in case people want to know more about it?
Right, I haven't updated that in a while. But
the website is?
It's gandhar.net.
And your next book would be?
Oh, it's going to be a while. I haven't finished it. I'm trying to finish my poems this summer, but it's a conceptual illustrated piece, and I have an illustrator working with me on it, so it could be a while.
Best of luck for that.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us in the studio.
Thank you, Gitika.
कार्यक्रम में है अभी बहुत कुछ, इसलिए देखते रहिए बधाई हो.